From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Board to reconvene. Good morning. Seems like we were just here. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Gleason?
Here.
Supervisor Scribner?
Here.
Supervisor Maggard?
Here.
Supervisor Couch?
Here.
Supervisor Perez?
Here.
First item is the flag salute. It's going to be led this morning by Karen Sanford. Karen is a environmental health specialist here for the county, but she's also a Chief Petty Officer retired in the U.S. Navy and has served in the Naval Reserves, a combined service of over 20 years. Thank you very much. And please remain standing at the conclusion of the flag salute for a moment of prayer, silence, or meditation, whichever you prefer.
Please stand. Salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next item is the consent agenda. All items listed with a CA above the item number are considered to be routine and non-controversial by staff. We can act on those all in one motion unless any member of the public, excuse me, or any member of the board chooses to pull any of those items for separate consideration. The consent agenda consists of, well, starts on page 2, consists of items 3 and 4, and item 7 continues to page 3, items 9 through 13, page 4, items 16 and 19 through 22, page 5, items 24 through 29, page 6, all the items 30 through 34. Is there anyone here that would like to pull any of those items for separate consideration? Any board members? Seeing none, we just need a motion on consent.
Motion.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. That takes us back to the resolutions and proclamations portion of the meeting. Item 1 is a resolution honoring Phyllis Nance, Director of Child Support Services, upon her retirement with 31 years of dedicated service to the County of Kern. This presentation will be made by Supervisor Perez.
Thank you, Chairman. Motion on proclamation.
Second.
A motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved. All ayes.
She really leaving us? She's doing it, huh? Well, this really is a delight this morning and a privilege of mine. I see you have family and friends here to see you off, and you have a big smile, so I think it's certainly a celebratory moment. This is an honor for me, Phyllis, on a personal level, and it really is something I've been looking forward to. Phyllis Nance began her county career in 1984 as a conservator's aide in the Kern County Coroner's Office, becoming a family support officer from 88 to 90 before returning to the Coroner's Office for 3 more years, then rejoining the Child and Family Support Division as a family support officer in 1993. Remember that? Mrs. Nance advanced through several promotions, becoming Assistant Director of Child Support Services in 2001 and Department Director in 2008, when she began building an outstanding and productive record of service that has improved the lives of Kern County families dramatically. I added the dramatically part, Mr. Nylon. I hope that's okay. Under Mrs. Nance's leadership, the department has employed many innovative strategies to help the children it serves, including an annual Ready, Set, Back to School Health and Awareness Fair, distributing nearly 14,000 backpacks to disadvantaged school children since the fair began in 2010, partnering with the sheriff to create the Lerdo Kiosk Project, my personal favorite. the first of its kind in all of the state of California, which provides direct child support services to inmates via video conferencing, and creating the Kids Count Resource Center to provide family resource information to case participants and the community. And child support collections to families increased by 15.4% from 2010 to 2013, and the department was recognized in 2013 by the California Department of Child Support Services for having the highest percentage increase in overall collections in the entire state of California. Not bad, Mrs. Nance. The department has received numerous awards for innovation and excellence, including the Outstanding Program Awareness Award from the Western Interstate Child Support Enforcement Association and California Directors Association in 2010. The Director's Excellence Award from the California Department of Child Support Services for meeting all 5 federal performance measures and increasing distributed collections by 3% in 2011. And recognition in 2013 from the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement for innovative strategies employed in it. It Happened to Me teen pregnancy program, which has been adopted in other states as well as throughout California. During her tenure as director, Mrs. Nance has emphasized staff development and administrative efficiency, creating the Child Support Service Library for child support staff, launching the Kids Training for Trainees project and training staff in 10 counties, managing computer system conversions, business process review, and re-engineering, organizational training, and data management efforts. My goodness. As Phyllis Nance retires from the county of Kern, she leaves a legacy of program excellence and fiscal stewardship. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Kern, State of California, does hereby honor and commend Phyllis Nance upon her retirement with 31 years of outstanding service to the people of Kern County, and the Board extends its gratitude and warmest wishes to Miss Nance and her marvelous family. Adopted November 10, 2015. Boy, that's a whole lot in a short period of time that you have contributed to not only this county, but the lives of so many, even outside of this county in the state, which is remarkable to think how far the reach of your influence has gone. We really do appreciate everything that you have done. Your innovation, your efficiency, you leave really big shoes to fill, probably impossibly so. But we are certainly grateful for the decades of service to this county, and we wish you really a very exciting next chapter. You will truly, truly be missed. Ms. Nance.
Okay. I can't believe that 31 years have passed. I think, when you're having fun, they just fly by.
Yes, they do.
One of the things that I always say to new employees is to start with the end in mind. On your last day of service, what do you want people to say about you? And then you work that way for the rest of your career. And so as I get to the last day of my service on Friday the 13th, I've thought about what I wanted people to say about me. And I wanted people to say I was compassionate, that I made a difference, that I impacted people. Until yesterday. And yesterday, our department got some really bad news. One of our supervisors passed away over the weekend. And it made me really think about what's really important. And people are important in relationships. So I kind of modified what I want people to say. I want people to say I was a friend, that I shared myself with them, that I made a difference to them because they certainly made a difference to me. I started at JCPenney's a long, long time ago. And when I was working at JCPenney's, there was a person that came in almost every week. She would bring elderly clients and clients that clearly had mental disabilities, and I would help them shop. And one day, I didn't know anything about Kern County or the county process, and one day she said, hey, you know, you work really well with our clients, and I just want you to know there's a position open in the county for a conservator aide. That's what I do. I take people shopping, I take them to doctor's appointments, and I apply for their benefits, and I think you would be really great at that. You can go down to Golden State Highway, that's when the personnel department was on Golden State, and apply. And she said, oh, and yeah, by the way, you don't have to work weekends, you get off at 5 o'clock, and you get holidays off. I thought, oh my God, that's really great. I'm pretty young, I don't really want my weekends. And I went and I applied. And I got to the interview stage at the department, and the supervisor who was interviewing me said, I've heard a lot about you. And I thought, what? You've heard a lot about me. She said, yeah, the candidate before you is one of our extra help, didn't know what that meant, who's applying for this job. And she said, there's going to be a person that's going to be interviewing, and I want you to know that she is really good. She works well with our customers, and if by chance you don't hire me, I really think you should hire her. It's my introduction to the family of Kern. She demonstrated what I think is something that I haven't been able to model because I haven't gone in any interviews and said, ooh, choose someone else yet. But she demonstrated...
There's still time.
She demonstrated that spirit of service that says the organization is bigger than your own personal belief system. And throughout my career, that's what I've encountered. 9 months after I started working for the county, my father passed away. And my county family demonstrated what it means to be part of Kern County. They rallied around me. Supervisors were flexible. They had patience with me with what I was going through. And I learned how to do that, demonstrate that to others. I've had lots of people who have been great friends, had birthday parties and baby showers. I met my wonderful husband while working for the County of Kern at the coroner's office. I have people that have impacted my life. And, you know, some of those people are here in this room. I will always be grateful to John for showing me what true leadership is about, by teaching me that you don't have to fight every battle to be a winner. I have people on my team like Brett, Tammy, and Tracy who have showed me numerous of times what having your back really means. And they've used diplomacy to tell their boss, you're out of your mind. But I will be forever grateful for that. I didn't think I was really going to be hired in the county. I mean, they offered me the job, and at that time you had to take a physical. I don't know how many people remember those days. It's like, oh, I'm really old, but really I'm not. I started really young. But you had to take a physical. And I was really afraid of needles, and they take your blood. And I didn't tell anybody I was afraid of needles because I was going to tough it out. They come there, they get ready to take your blood, and then I wake up on the floor. Because I passed out because, you know, I'm afraid of needles. And I thought, oh my God, they're getting the wheelchair, they're about to take me to see what's wrong. I'm okay, I'm just afraid of needles. And they still hired me. So it taught me you can be afraid, and you can share your fears with people. And Marcus Mitchell has taught me that over and over again. There are just so many people that have just made a difference in my life. And I think that's really what all the accomplishments, I'm grateful for them. I really do think we do a wonderful job with Ready, Set, Back to School. I hope it becomes an institution in this county because I think it makes a difference. And I think it shows the character of the department. I have a number of colleagues here, a number of staff who really, it is their work, their friendship that has helped me be successful. I have my sorority here today. You know, I collect elephants, and it's about the generosity of people. My sorority, we all collect elephants. And because people in the office understood and were connected to me, I have so many elephants. At some point, I had to say, okay, no more elephants, you guys. I have any type of elephant you can ever think of, I have it. And Ed said, please don't bring any more of those elephants home, Phyllis. We don't have any place to put them. But every time I look at the elephants, I think of the generosity of the people that I work with. I have here with me my family, and I like to introduce them because they've been by my side this whole journey. My husband, who I met here, Edward Nance, he says I only in public start calling him Ed, and in home I call him Edward. So Edward Nance, who has supported me through this whole journey. And when I told him, hey Ed, I'm retiring, he's like, woohoo, great. Oh, there's a but to it. I'm going to go to work someplace else. And he's like, what? He said, well, just tell me one thing. Is it cooler where we're going? And I said, yes, it is. And he says, okay, I'm with you. But lots of times Ed and I were on different sides. Ed, as many of you know, worked for the union, and I was part of management. But what Ed taught me was that when you are a supervisor or a manager, you have a greater responsibility to people. And because of that, I strived hard to be a really good supervisor and always give staff the benefit of the doubt. My grandson is here, Michael. He said, do I get to stand up with you, Grammy? I said, yeah, come on up. He's here. He is the apple of my eye. My son is a paramedic, so he's out saving lives, so he couldn't be here, but his fiance is here, Tomika. And, gosh, I said I wouldn't cry. My mom's here.
Oh my goodness.
And this is really special for me because I know she is really proud of me. But she has been on my journey. And if you work in the Department of Child Support Services, you have heard my stories. You know, my mom said to treat people the way you want to be treated. You know, my mom said words have power, so use your words carefully. My mom said, don't get the big head just because you're the director. It's not like you're the president of the United States. You're only over there with child support. So it kept me humble.
That's great.
My mom said, you know, you're working for taxpayers' money. Spend them wisely. Don't just be shuffling papers. Really produce something. And I worked hard to produce that. And I thank my mom. And I thank my staff. Yeah, our team, you're amazing. And it's been a really great journey. And I hope that in the end, people will say, Phyllis was a friend. Phyllis shared her person. She really cared. And gosh, I'm ready to the next journey, and I really hope Alameda, hope those people are just as nice as Kern. Otherwise, I'll be back. Thank you.
Very good. Well done. Well done. Well done. Well done, Michelle.
Take your time, take as many as you want. Phyllis, congratulations. We wish you the best of luck. Thank you very much. Item 2 is a proclamation proclaiming November 2015 as Family Caregivers Month and November 9th through the 15th, 2015 as In-Home Support Services Home Care Workers Recognition Week in Kern County. And this proclamation will be handled by Supervisor Scribner.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Cast your votes.
Thank you. The vote is all ayes.
Come on down. Okay, so I'm going to present Julie, and so what I'll do is I'll speak, and then I'll just give the info, and then I'll ask Lito, and then I'll read the certificate and present it to you. You guys wanted to stand up here, you guys? Come on. You guys can go ahead and crowd in. Okay. Well, good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. November is National Family Caregivers Month, and the second week of November is In-Home Support Services Home Care Worker Recognition Week. This week, we take the time to thank and recognize the over 3,400 IHSS workers in Kern County who give their time, patience, care, and support to their families and to the entire community. I have many of the IHS workers behind me, as you can see. IHSS workers also help the elderly and disabled in our community live with dignity by allowing them to remain in their own homes and to live an independent life outside of an assisted living facility. And before I read the proclamation and present it, I'm going to ask Lito Murillo, who is our IHSS department head, if he could come up and say a few words, and I'll present the certificate to Julie.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank all the IHSS home care providers that we have in the community. They do an exceptional job serving not only our seniors, our disabled individuals, or developmental aid. They care for our loved ones, and without them, this service would go we'd have a lot of people in worse shape without them. So I want to thank them for all that they do.
Thank you so very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Lito. And now I'll read the proclamation. I'm going to present it to Julie Otero. Julie is one of our IHSS workers, and the Board of Supervisors, County of Kern, State of California, has officially proclaimed November 2015 as Family Caregivers Month and In-Home Support Services Home Care Workers Recognition Week in Kern County. This recognition has been entered into our official minutes, signed by our Honorable Chairman, David Couch, and dated today's date.
Thank you so very much. Thank you very much.
Would you like to say a few words?
Yes, please. Good morning, everyone. My name is Julie Otero, and I'm in-home supporter services worker. Thank you, Honorable Chairman and respected board members. It's an honor to accept the proclamation on behalf of 4,000 providers in the Kern County. As a home care provider, our jobs are not easy. Sometimes it's overwhelmed and it's stressful. It is our tireless work that keeps our HISS clients safe, healthy, and happy at home and in their communities. Our clients are loved, our loved ones, our friends, our neighbors, who look for care as an alternative, not costly, and often lonely nursing homes and institutions. Thank you again for the recognition home care providers, for the commitment they're giving to those who need our care. I have been a certified medical assistant, will be 30 years this January. I have been working as an in-home supporter services HISS program for 21 years. I choose that because it is a family. It is a great program. I was working in the hospital 12 hours, and I wasn't getting the satisfaction that I do when I go to someone's home, and they're so happy to see me that I'm there. Sometimes I'm the only person in that day they ask them how they're doing. I'm the only person they ask them if they're feeling okay. So that makes a big difference. This is a family. We all do all kinds of jobs, and when that's how I became an activist. I do a lot of going around and trying to learn more about what's around my community so I can bring it to my union and let my brothers and sisters here know that there's a new disease somewhere. You might end up having a patient with it, and then how to take care of it. So we all share about all of each other's and all our clients. We love our clients, and we are definitely here to make a difference. We do. Every little bit that we do is a difference. I always say it is a shame that in translation, the United Domestic Workers, when you translate it in Spanish, it loses a lot. Because domestic in a Spanish community, it just means cleaning lady, really. We're not. We are nurses, we're cooks, we're cleaners, we're social workers. We're people that care and love what we do. So we are more than just a domestic worker. And that's my point this year for the 21 years, is to bring across the fact that we are more than just a cleaning crew. We are not. We are here to clean your heart, your home, your health, and to give you that one support that you need on a daily basis. So that's why I love this union. I will stay with it as long as I live. And thank you very much for taking your time this morning and this opportunity to appreciate what we do, what we already know we do well, don't we?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful morning.
Thank you.
Thank you all for everything you do and for all the employees of Aging and Adult Services. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful morning. Thank you, Mr. School.
Thank you all for being here today. That brings us to item 5, which is public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on items that are not on the agenda but are under the jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors. Excuse me, is there anyone here that would like to make a public presentation?
Good morning. Bill Walker, your Mental Health and Substance Use Disorder Director. Chairman, members of the board, good morning. I just wanted to bring two things to your attention that you'll be receiving informal and formal notification on. The first is the Drug-Free Communities Grant for $625,000 that we recently received through our Substance Abuse Division. I know that Supervisor Gleason and Supervisor Maggard joined us in Oildale just a couple of weeks ago, where we went to a community and had a community forum, and these dollars will actually help us expand those kind of forums for the Kern Stop Meth Now Coalition. I'm so pleased with the support I get from the board, from the support I get from Dina Murphy and her department, from the Sheriff's Department on these outreaches. And I just want to bring to your attention that it's been very rare for anybody on the West Coast to get one of those grants. They tend to live in the east side of the world. So we're so pleased to get that. The second thing I wanted to bring to your attention is that we also recently received a $1.7 million grant under SB 82 funds. These funds will allow us to build a crisis stabilization unit in Ridgecrest. It's the first time we've built anything like that on the east side, and will also take pressure off of the Tehachapi's, because Cal City right now tends to send people straight to the Tehachapi Hospital, but by building a 24/7 crisis unit in Ridgecrest near the hospital there, we again will be able to now cornerstone crisis intervention on the east side. In addition to that, we're actually looking through our prevention dollars, and we're going to isolate an outreach worker in every geographic area to both help serve. I get calls from your staff often telling me that, there's this person here, this person there, they're not open to anybody's system, but they're in trouble. And usually the people in the most trouble don't even come to us or anyone else. People call on them. And so we're going to be able to identify for Arvin Lamont, for Fraser Park, for Tehachapi, for Kern River Valley, for Delano, for Taft, for Ridgecrest, a worker that will be able to be on call to go out to people just because there's a need. So I wanted to bring this to your attention. I wanted to thank you for your support, the supportive letters we've received from members of this board, as well as the police department out in Ridgecrest, and the Sheriff's Department have been very helpful in us getting these grants. And so I wanted to bring them to your attention, thank you, and tell you that we're looking forward to implementing these programs for you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Are there any other public presentations?
Good morning, distinguished supervisors. My name is Brian Burrow, President and CEO of the Bakersfield Symphony Orchestra. I am proud to say that the BSO is thriving. We have growing attendance, which hasn't happened in decades. We have a solid business operations, and we have the strongest children's program that we...
Years ago, one of the draws of the county was how agriculturally and animal-friendly it was, and the other that it was very forward-thinking with regards to energy. But today I'm here, I'm really sad to report to you that in Kern County, we're just coming out of the third ice age. The wheel has yet to be invented, and the earth is flat. You might wonder how this happened. It's zoning ordinance 19.06.020, which reads in part, "The planning director shall be vested with the authority to administrate this title. The planning director shall provide any necessary interpretation, and the decision of the planning director shall be final." Makes you want to take a breath. When somebody on the government payroll can administrate and change the law without any public input, the code violates due process. When someone's interpretation can totally change the meaning. And that's exactly what happened in my case. The planning director made a decision based on I don't know what, but it was wrong, 100% wrong. It regards the exotic animal keeping code, which says animals not customarily domesticated by man. And in reviewing this code, the director of planning decided that Bos indicus, the zebu, something you probably know as the Brahma, is not normally domesticated by man, setting us back 10,000 years because that is the first livestock developed and domesticated. The only thing older than that would be sheep and dogs. So here in Kern County, the way it looks to me is like you will need a CUP to get a hamster, which wasn't domesticated till 1947 and came in for Russia. I'm concerned about the code and the way it's written, but I'm much more concerned about the violations of my civil rights over the past 4 years, my right to freedom of the press, and yes, I've been published since 1969, my right to freedom of speech. I've been forced or attempted to be forced to sign acknowledgement of guilt. Doing that would have indicated and implicated me in a misdemeanor. All of these things have happened under the pretense of these codes. Now, I want to get my CUP. I applied for it because I know my ranch is going through changes, not because I believe in any way, shape, or form I'm in violation. But I don't want to get my CUP until we fix these problems. They're huge. They're violating people's rights. Not everybody has a big mouth like me, and not everybody's going to come in front of you and argue this. But today I'm going to, and this afternoon I'm going to be back and detail some of the things that have happened that have forced me to file a complaint with the American Civil Liberties Union. Thank you for your time. Oh, and enjoy your nice sunny day in Flat Earth, Kern County.
Thank you, Ms. Freeling. Are there other public speakers?
Hello. Good morning. My name is Barbara Hoffman, and I've come to speak about Windswept Ranch, which is Diana Freeland's ranch, and I brought the brochures that she has distributed, and I'd like to, I have a copy for everybody. My admiration for the camels increases daily with my experience with them, and look forward to the day when every mail route across the continent will be conducted and worked all together with this economical and noble brute. September 21st, 1857, Edward Fitzgerald Beale. And that is how KC history with camels began. Fort Tejon came to the home of the U.S. Camel Corps. Beale brought them in, the man you named a road after. It seems strange to me today that KC considers the animals that helped Bishop develop the Owens Valley wild and exotic animals that is an exotic animal that is wild by nature and is not customarily domesticated by man. I have been a regular visitor to Diana Freeland's Windswept Ranch over the past 5 years. I visited at least twice a year in order for my grandson to be exposed to the variety of animals and to learn how they are used in countries of origin. Volunteers of the nonprofit, the Animal Education Center, lead these tours and manage to entertain while imparting knowledge of animal husbandry and history. All of the animals on the ranch are agriculturally and have been domesticated for thousands of years. Bos indicus, the zebu, and perhaps better known to you as the Brahma, was domesticated over 10,000 years ago and is thought to be the first cattle ever domesticated. How can KC claim that this animal is not normally domesticated? Reindeer? Ranchifer tarantulus, sorry about that, domesticated over 5,000 years ago, has entire cultures built around the service they provide: food, transportation, clothing, milk, shelter, tools, weapons. In fact, the U.S. government actually brought them in and trained them to the Inuit in Alaska in their care in order to provide food source after settlers managed to destroy the ecosystem of Alaska. Seriously, not normally domesticated? 5,000 years, the same amount of time horses, yak, and camels were first domesticated. Why is it that KC considers horses domesticated, but not the rest of the animals? Could it be ignorance? Maybe not. Each of these animals provides in a special way for the people who herd them. My favorite is the camel, and I'm so excited that Diana is sharing Macaulay.
Ms. Hoffman?
I'm almost done. Outside today, so people can experience how amazing these animals are. With Christmas approaching, I'm stunned that KC believes these animals are not normally domesticated. Look at any nativity scene, you'll see a camel. They are an integral part of the story, and Diana uses her camels to teach this story. Each year, she brings her animals to my church, the Desert Vineyard, and helps create a living nativity at no charge. She loves to share. I'm happy she decided her ongoing problems with planning today and will continue to do so. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, Supervisor Scribner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to thank Ms. Hoffman and Ms. Freeling for coming down here today. I got a chance to meet with Ms. Freeling a couple of months back, and we talked about the different animals that she has at her facility. She brings a reindeer to my Rotary up in Tehachapi, does a senior Christmas lunch every year that has probably 400 seniors, and she brings a reindeer, so it's very nice. And so I appreciate what she has to offer to the children in the area and also for all of us. I want to ask Lorelei Ovid, our planning director, to come up here and try to give some context, and we'll talk about what we can do to try and resolve the issues. Ms. Ovid, what a difference 12 hours makes. You were the lady of the hour last night, and but that's the job. So can you give us some context here?
Good morning, Chairman Couch, members of the board. Supervisor Scribner, Ms. Freeling, is that how you pronounce it? And I have talked in the lobby. First, I have reviewed the letter, and Brahmins are not on the letter. There was some question about that. So, we will get together and we will resolve the controversy over the camels being considered exotic. I certainly have been educated by Ms. Freeling on the differences and that there are no wild camels. I do believe that she wants to resolve this conditional use permit, and I am more than happy to work my way through these interpretations, and certainly my intention was never to cast judgment on what she's doing. She has a very, very exciting educational petting zoo and other things. However, it does require some planning processes, which I believe she is willing to go through. Your board has a zoning violation process, which is in the zoning ordinance and requires that if you're in violation of something, you have to go through this process first. I would like to work with Ms. Freeling and, if necessary, County Council, and see what we can do to resolve this, because she wants to get back to taking care of the petting zoo and the retreat and the animals, and I would like to help her do that. So I would just ask your boards, Supervisor Scribner, we'll take care of this, and Ms. Freeling and I will be in communication.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, thanks for coming in. Wait, Ms. Freeling, this really isn't the forum for us to try to work it out, but you have Ms. Oviatt's commitment, and any time that you would like to meet with me to discuss it further, I'm always available to you.
Okay, I'd like to meet with County Council.
Okay, very good. I know that we can arrange that. Ms. Goldner?
Supervisor Scrivener, through the chair, I would be happy to meet with Ms. Freeling to talk about this. I did not receive a copy of her letter. Perhaps she can email it to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You bet. Are there any other public presentations?
Good morning, Board. Honorable Chairman Couch and staff and administration and everybody. I'm happy-go-lucky clown. So I'm happy that one's going to get taken care of. I want to say good job on this. I've shown you newspaper headings before, and usually they're negative, but this one is a necessary thing because the county needs resources in their situation. It's really simply we're going through a hard time. The whole economy is going through a hard time, and for some reason there's not much opportunity for good things. So I'm happy that we have this and that we're working towards a brighter future. And part of that, while I'm giving out thank yous, it's not on this agenda, but it was on agenda 2 weeks ago, CA 15, from Mr. Walker. He's over there, and I want to say thank you for not making this list, the 5150 list. I didn't know it really existed, but there it is. And I don't know if Mr. Lifquist is here, but I want to say thank you to him for not putting me on this list. That goes to Mrs. Green over there, and I want to say thank you to Mrs. Green. And, thank you all. And 25 seconds left to go, but I'm done. Have a good day.
Thank you. Any other public presentations? Item 6 is board member announcements and reports.
I have something.
Supervisor Perez.
Thank you, Chairman. Some of you may recall, I know our District Attorney Lisa Green will recall because she was so gracious last year to assist in our efforts to provide a little bit of comfort and warmth to the nearly 100 children that live at the homeless shelter during the Christmas holiday season. It is always shocking to me to think that the average age of a homeless person in America is 8, and that so many children suffer under this unimaginable reality. But nonetheless, in a month from today, Councilman Rivera and myself will be hosting our annual Christmas pajama party. It'll be across the street at the Bell Tower Club from 5 to 8 p.m., and we'll be collecting pajamas for the Christmas party at the shelter. Every year the shelter has a Christmas party. The kids come dressed in a new set of pajamas that we provide for them, and then they get to enjoy the Christmas season with their family and with other families. So I'm very, very excited this year. The Haddad family is joining us. They have raised nearly $5,000 for toys. They really want to do a toy drive, which I think will be really, really remarkable. But the pajama piece has really been our piece, and it's really exciting to see so many people come by our office or come by the party and bring a set of pajamas. The children there range from age newborn all the way to 17. So you can imagine a very, very exciting, interesting time. But I really, really appreciate our district attorney and many others who have been so helpful and thoughtful during the Christmas season. Recently, as many of you may know, we basically lost our home in a fire. And I remember seeing my son about a week later in our hotel playing with 2 hangars, and one was a fire truck and the other was a car. And I thought, this is really extraordinary experience to have, because it occurred to me that he had lost all his toys. And of course, he's going to be fine and will be fine. But many, many people who have such an experience are really struggling with the reality that they lose their things, in particular children and their toys. So really appreciate any help. Everything goes to the homeless shelter. And once again, a month from today, across the street at the Bell Tower Club, 5 to 8. And we'd be delighted to see you all. So thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Maggard?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Nylon, I'd like to ask you a question about the progress we've made so far regarding our library town hall, neighborhood town hall meetings. How many have you had so far, and what kind of reaction have you had so far?
Good morning, Supervisor Maggard through the chair. Last night in Button Willow was our 7th meeting. Generally, they are fairly lightly attended. Oftentimes, our staff outnumber the customers present, but the dialogue has been positive. We know that there's a strong reaction by the community to continue library services. They like the library staff, and they are concerned about any type of public-private partnership. We have, I believe, 20 more scheduled and over the next 4 weeks, so we're out and about quite a bit.
I have twice heard, once from you and once from our chair, that I am the person who has caused you to have 27 of these scheduled. It was not my intention when we began to dialogue about how we would engage the community to ask you to do it 27 times. But I think some of them are certainly helpful. So I would encourage you, and I hope it's okay with the board, could you come back to us after 1 or 2 more, maybe get to 10, and kind of give us a status report, and then let's rethink whether or not we need to actually do 27 of them or not, or if there might be a way to consolidate them so that that's a lot of effort by our staff. And I value the public's input, but I wonder if there might be a better way to obtain it. So I look forward to hearing that report back from you if you don't mind doing that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You bet. Any other board member announcements or reports? Okay, seeing none, that takes us to item 8 under airports. It's a proposed amendment number 2 to agreement 410-2014 with Mead & Hunt, Inc. to provide funds for the expanded design of Meadowsfield Airport runway 12L/30R rehabilitation project and increase the contract by $1.755 million for a new total not to exceed $5.2 million. Mr. Strickland, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Board of Supervisors. It's a pleasure to be here this morning and report to you on the runway and the request before you. On June 17th, the board approved the engineering services agreement with Mead & Hunt to provide engineering services for Meadowsfield Airport, as well as Wasco Airport, Kern Valley Airport, Lost Hills. The agreement provided a potential compensation at the time, which was estimated over a period of a 5-year term. On May 5th, the board approved a modification to that agreement for the airport airspace analysis that needed to be done. The Department of Airports proposed the amendment and extended the design project under FAA Advisory Circular 150-5313A, incorporating that advisory circular into the overall program for that engineering services agreement. Causes a magnitude change within the project itself and requires that the project also be funded over multiple years by the FAA. Those added advisory circular have increased the overall magnitude of the engineering work to be formed. When the department originally brought the agreement to the board back on June of 2014, your approval was estimated that the engineering cost for the Meadowsfield Airport runway would be $1.8 million. The department's estimate was anticipated project within the original agreement was created with the best information available at the time based upon a $9 million project number for the runway. Since then, since the department has hired Mead & Hunt and has worked extensively with the FAA and Mead & Hunt, you can see that the project has grown now over a 3-year time frame to approximately $40 million. That is a substantial increase in the magnitude of what the project is, both in the airfield geometry and also the details to what it is that you would do within that. When you look back on the best information that was available at the the time, the $9 million number, that was a number that was generated back in 2006 in part of the master plan document. So that number didn't even contemplate the 13A requirements that the FAA imposed and passed in late 2012. So the number was the best number at the point in time that there was, but now you have a far better number as to what's going on. So this change is relative to those elements of the FAA, and the request to increase the contract amount of $1.755 million will only allow the department to complete phase 1 of the project. As I have previously commented in this boardroom, we did receive the grant funds of about $18 million, which do cover this particular number that's here. The cost of the expanded engineering and design are included and covered under the current grant with a local match of 9.3%. The expanded engineering and design will add the $1.755 to the current agreement, and sufficient funds are budgeted within the airports department budget, and therefore it is recommended that the board approve the proposed amendment to the agreement for design of the runway 12L30 right project rehabilitation in an aggregate amount of $1.755 and an amount not to exceed $5.214 million, and authorize the chairman to sign. And I'll open it up to any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Strickland. Is there anyone here that would like to make a comment about this item? Seeing none, I'll return to the board for questions, comments, and action.
Thank Mr. Strickland for, Mr. Chairman, may I proceed? Thank Mr. Strickland for his report and move staff's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved, all ayes.
Thank you. Brings us to item 14, which is a request under the district attorney, is a request for a mid-year capital asset acquisition of 2 high-capacity copiers for the discovery unit of the district attorney's office in an amount not to exceed $40,000. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Assistant District Attorney Scott Spillman. I'll be actually talking about the next request also. As far as the 2 copiers that we need, these things, they cost about as much as a little car because they work kind of like little cars. These are high-speed copiers. We have 2 of them currently, and they're well beyond their useful dates. They are constantly breaking down, needing service. We originally were going to be requesting 3 at this current fiscal year. We took these out as to try to come to a budget that will be acceptable. But now that we've determined that they will fit within the budget that we do have, we are requesting 2, not 3. We expect that these will also be beneficial, not just for the thousands of pages of discovery, jury instructions, and things like that we just have to have, but also they are high-speed scanners that, as we are hopefully going into a more digital process for our office, that they'll be able to use in that capacity also. And so this is going to be beneficial hopefully for years to come, and then hopefully it'll be over 5 years before we have to come back to purchase some more of these. So that's what these items are for.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll return to the board for questions or action.
Move approval.
Second.
Cast your votes.
Motion is approved, all ayes.
Thank you. Mr. Spillman, go ahead.
The next item is regarding the crime lab. We're looking to purchase for about $19,000 an MVAC for DNA processing. What this does is it collects DNA samples or evidence that can then be processed through the DNA processing that we use the robotics and the analysis for. We expect that this is going to be an additional step to improve our services. The greatest benefit for this is going to be we expect for analyzing clothes, blankets, fibrous types of things where you have hard surfaces, you can do swabs. You can't do that on clothes and porous surfaces such as that and get as good a collection of DNA. The MVAC literally will suck up DNA. put it through a filtering process to enable it to be analyzed. So we expect that for clothing and then also possibly for bodies and dead body cases, that we can actually process the body itself. And for those that are very difficult to solve, it may help be able to find DNA on those sources also. The crime lab has been very beneficial to the county. It helped. It was your crime lab identified Mr. Ashley in the Canyon case that ultimately led to his apprehension by the Sheriff's Department. They did great work. It was your crime lab that identified him, that enabled that store owner to know who it was that came into that store. In addition to that, recently we had the East Side rapist that your crime lab solved, and we're hoping that this is an additional service that will be able to better serve our community, to solve especially the tough cases when you don't have a lot of other evidence and you're trying to process every single bit that you can. We think this will help. So that's what this item is for. And again, it's within the budget. This is one that came up. It wasn't anticipated earlier on, but it is within the budget for this fiscal year.
I apologize. I think I neglected to read what the item was before you spoke.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone here that would like to comment on this item? Seeing none, ask for the board.
Motion on staff's recommendation.
Second.
Discuss your votes.
Motion is approved, all ayes.
Thank you. Thank you. That takes us to item 17 under Human Services. This is a report on the corrective action plan for departments identified internal control deficiencies. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm Dina Murphy, your Department Head Director for Human Services. On September 1st, 2015, the County Administrative Officer notified your board that the Department of Human Services was committed to preparing and submitting a corrective action plan to the CAO addressing internal control deficiencies, which resulted in an overstatement of revenue at June 30th, 2014. Our department identified 3 internal control deficiencies, including a $3.2 million revenue accrual made based on an incorrect state system report, a $1.9 million revenue receipt that was duplicated at year end, and an incomplete management report and lack of reconciliation to the county's financial management system. Corrective actions have been taken for the first 2 areas, and a reconciliation of accruals was performed and submitted to the auditor and CAO as of September 30th. The 3rd area will be completed by the end of November, as this month coincides with our fiscal year 2015-16 first quarter management reports. Additional financial management reports are being developed that will highlight prior year transactions and adjustments to current reports that will provide improved revenue estimates for current year. These reports incorporate additional financial information for analysis of fiscal impacts to the department's approved county budgets. The CAO's Compliance and Accountability Officer has conducted a preliminary review of our corrective action plan and concurs that the specific factors identified as the reason for the fiscal year 13-14 accrual error that resulted in an overstatement of revenue did not occur in fiscal year 2014-15. The CAO will continue to work with us and monitor our progress until all improvements are developed and completed. Additionally, the CAO is in process of confirming funding ratios and timing related to receipt of state and federal funds to return to your board seeking guidance on policy related to use of carry-forward balance in budget preparation and recommended reserve amounts associated with cash advances. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available for question.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to make a comment on this report? Seeing none, I'll return to the board for questions, comments, or action. Recommended action is to receive and file. I'm sorry, Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you give us, Ms. Balbuena, maybe you can help us with this? Can anybody give us a feel for, by the way, thank you for the corrective action plan, I appreciate that. Can you give us any feel for how you came up with the plan, and who did you collaborate with, and that kind of thing?
We have, Supervisor Maggard, through the board, Chairman, we have had the CAO analyst co-stationed, co-located with us for the past 2 months, Amy Espinosa, across from me there. And she has actually reviewed every transaction that it takes to build the claim and how our accruals are estimated and how our management report is built and what additional fiscal reporting that would capture prior year activities might impact current budget year. So we've built supplemental reports. Those will be what will be tested in November. But we also had Elsa Martinez, who went through the claim in its entirety, and we're talking about green bar that's about a 1.5 feet high, but chased every single penny down. I think that there's full transparency to where every dollar goes because it is developed based on time studies, and they're very rigidly driven through the claim in these keys that determine our funding ratios. And I think that it's, with the complexities of the budget, the transparency's been I think very important for our future and our future credibility to see that where the time studies are, the dollars and funding ratios follow. So part of the collaboration in the development of the corrective action plan was the revisions to the policy that would drive the reconciliation being performed and provided to the CAO no later than September 30th of each year. And that's both to the auditor and CAO when we did complete that. And the initial tests also in the auditor coming out for a review of that work did confirm in their initial report that we did not have concern over that area, but there wasn't a finding, if you will. And I believe they'll be coming forward to your board in the first week of December. We'll be back with you with the auditor's revised examination. And so in coordination with the CAO's office and with having an individual co-located permanently on site for the last 2 months, we developed the corrective action plan with full transparency to ensure that the issues that had occurred cannot occur again with the safeguards put in place and the revisions to the policy.
Thank you. So was it the CAO's office that helped you with the corrective action plan?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your coming up with a plan so we can try to prevent these things from happening again. I'm supportive of receiving and file the report, and I don't want to cut anybody off. Then I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we thank the department for their work, the CAO's office for their help, and that we receive and file the report.
You have a motion?
Second.
In a second, please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. Item 18 is an update on the Kern Medical Center financial position for the period ending September 30th, 2015. Mr. Judd and Mr. Cantu. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Russell Judd, the Chief Executive Officer at Kern Medical Center, and I'll turn the time over to Andy Cantu, the Chief Financial Officer, who will provide the report, and I'll push the buttons.
Good morning. For the month of September, the financials for KMC were very good. All the volume indicators were very good. Admissions were 832 versus a budget of 705. Even though census was down compared to the budget of 131 average patients per day, that's still very good because admissions were up, which meant that the length of stay in the hospital was low. ER visits also were favorable to plan, almost 400 or a little over 350. Also admissions through ER were favorable to plan up about 90. Outpatient clinics continue to be strong, 1,100 favorable to budget. Deliveries also just slightly favorable. And surgeries, about 50 favorable to budget. And you can see even with the high volume, FTEs were slightly under by 2 at 1,365. Next slide is our financials. You can see for the month, we had $57 million of charges. Line 3's close to $18 million of net revenue, about $5 million favorable to budget. I think previous months we were quite conservative in our net revenue calculations, so those are flowing through in this month. Line 4, we're slightly, we're booking 90% of these funds as a part of our plan, which is very conservative. That's why it shows lower than budget. And line 7, $26.2 million versus a budget of $24.2. $2 million ahead of plan for overall net revenue. On the expenses, for salaries continue to run low. We're at about $1.2 million favorable to budget. Medical fees are slightly over. This is due to our contract labor in that area. And then other professional fees are up. This is all of our contract consultants that we have in place going on right now. Supplies continue to run high. We are looking at a lot of things right now, especially in our pharmacy side. We've identified some, not a lot of old items that are coming through, but in reality, it's a lot of the volumes that are going on right now and high drug costs for certain patients. Some patients are utilizing very, very high drug costs. So we're kind of quantifying right now. It's kind of rolled forward into October also. We're looking at it, and we're working with the pharmacy to identify kind of what the volume has changed, how much doses are we giving, what really was the change, and what medicine or what prescription is being prescribed that's driving the cost up so high. Purchase services slightly over, a couple $100,000. And then also line 13 is slightly under, is other expenses, about $80,000. You can see EBITDA for the month, $650,000 versus a loss of $192,000, and then overall bottom line, $851,000 versus a budget of $4,000. Year to date, we're at $1.2 million versus a budget of about $12,000. So another very, very good month. I'm going to stop there in an effort to be brief, and I'll take questions and on all the other slides. Loan balance. Oh, and I'm sorry, on the loan balance, as of Friday, we were about $9 million. We received the IGT that we had paid in, and it had been received last week, so we're down to, it was about $9 million last week on Friday, so it had come back down.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to comment or ask questions about this report? Seeing none, I'll return to the board. Supervisor Scribner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I left it on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Cantu, Mr. Judd. I had a question. First of all, all good news on here, and is that the best EBITDA we've had yet? If it's not, it's pretty darn close.
I don't think it's the highest EBITDA. I think we had some. I think there was one. It might compare to. That's a little higher than last year, so I was just looking at last year. Last year, if you go to the next slide, slide 4, last year at this time it was 307, 308 of EBITDA versus 690. So
it's about the highest one I remember. So.
Yeah, I think other than we had end of the last year, we had some adjustments that need to be made. There were just one-time some things, but I think if you look past the 18 months, this would be the highest EBITDA we've had.
Thank you. I do have a question. The one unfavorable variance that we've got, it's in the indigent patient funding revenue, but what you explain is that you're being very conservative with how much you're recognizing, and so can you just explain that to us, what your thought process is and how you're reporting that, because it's 6.6, about 6.7 million compared to a budget of 9.3.
Sure. When we budgeted this year, we reduced the indigent funding probably $4 or $5 million from prior year, and that was one decrease that we took. But then, as we as we finalize the budget, those numbers that we booked, which would be, the 3 months of the first quarter is $9.4 million. In an effort to be even further conservative, we're booking 90% of it. We fully expect to get the cash, but we will, I guess for lack of a better word, we'll believe it when we see it. So, we expect to get the cash, and until we will continue. Now, there's a piece of this that could be that we may have a liability to pay back. So that's also a part that why we're so conservative, that we don't want to recognize the income until those things are sorted out. We don't want to receive the cash, book it as income, and then later on have to adjust the income and take the hit later on in the year. And so we make sure that we're having it covered, and we're very, very conservative throughout the whole year.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Judd?
If I can add to that, the funding that we receive is based upon our expenses, how much we spend. And there is a very significant calculation that we negotiate with the state of California, and it's drawing dollars down from the federal government. If you go back in time, this is where Kern Medical Center had most of its exposure. It was receiving an estimate at the beginning of the year. It was recognizing all of that as income, and the income didn't come in, and then not only that, there was a liability to pay some of it back. So we are doing the very best we can to be accurate in the estimate and then to cover, because we've seen an increase in our revenue. Unfortunately, these programs work. The more revenue we generate, the less money the federal government gives us. And so since we've seen, if you'll notice, that additional increase in the revenue we're receiving from patients, we've made the decision to reduce those matching dollars down by 10%, because there's a very good chance that they don't come in. So as Mr. Cantu has said, that we do not want to have said, we've earned this income, spent the money, and then as these settles, and these sometimes take 2 to 3 years, in fact, sometimes 4 or 5 years. We still have accounts back from 2009 and 10 that have yet to be settled with the state and with the federal government. So we want to make sure that we have the cash available to us when those liabilities come due, that we have the cash to make those payments.
What was the last fiscal year that the state did their true up or whatever? Was it 07? I don't recall what the period is. Okay, 07, that's right. Okay. And you guys we're still working closely with Toyon and Associates to track that?
Correct.
Okay. Yes. Very good. Thank you.
Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The rest of the world doesn't live in the world we live in. Tell everybody in the public what EBITDA means.
Yeah.
We should do that every time you discuss it, by the way.
That actually is basically would equal our cash, what we would expect as cash coming in. This is our earnings before we calculate in also interest, depreciation expense, and amortization. So that really is our cash we would expect to come in.
Very good, thank you. In light of the questions were asked, very good questions, by the way. I appreciate you bringing those things to light. Our budget committee for the hospital has looked at this thoroughly, and it is my pleasure to recommend that we receive and accept, receive, and file the report.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment as well?
Sure.
Per your, let me start and say, as of October 12th KMC board meeting, your board approved a temporary increase in the not-to-exceed general fund loan amount from $40 million to $50 million. I'd like to provide a quick update. On November 3rd, KMC received $30 million in DSRIP payment, as well as $4 million in Kern Health Systems capitation revenue, reducing the loan balance to about $10 million. As discussed by the board, the increase was not to extend past December 14th, and it hasn't, and we will be coming back to your board in December to correct the cap, so it will reflect what the board's direction is.
Thank you, Mr. Nyland. I appreciate that update.
That's great, thank you.
Second on the motion.
I don't know if I asked for anyone to make public comment. So we have a motion and a second. Is there anyone here that would like to make a comment on this item? Seeing none, you have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you.
I think that brings us over to item 23. It's an item under the Library Department. It's a proposed resolution authorizing a temporary closure of all Library Department facilities on Friday, December 4th, 2015, for a staff development meeting. Ms. Kerr, good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Couch and members of the board. We've had a lot of activity in our libraries this year, as everyone knows. We've had our library staff meeting with the CAO's office. We've had a professional poll. We are in the midst of a survey, and we are in the midst of those 26 community meetings, which have actually been quite beneficial, we think. We've ranged from an attendance of 3 in Buttonwillow to 60 in Arvin, so it's been, and most have been somewhere in between. In the midst of all of this, and under the amount of public scrutiny that we've had, it's been an added incentive for us to really do a complete analysis of our procedures and our policies and our programs in the libraries. As we don't have necessarily a sufficient staffing budget to allow our staff, professional and otherwise, and support staff to attend professional conferences and training, we are asking for the opportunity to hold a one-day in-house, in-service mini conference or in-service training day. Some of the areas that we plan to give special attention to include having some speakers in from other departments, city and county, who will talk to staff about how to best handle security issues such as those posed by patrons who may have mental illness or substance abuse issues, collaborating with city departments and community organizations to provide better programming and services, incorporating some tenets of an Every Child Ready to Read and early literacy training into our story times, catalog and checkout system training, grant writing so that we make sure that we don't have all of our grant writing going on just at Beale and in Bakersfield, but out in our regional areas as well. Best practices for programming, publicity and marketing, and maybe the most beneficial to a lot of our staff, trying to keep ahead of the patrons when it comes to technology training. Christmas is coming. After the holiday season, everybody and their brother brings in their new device that their children or someone gave them and says, here, how do we use it? So we have to make sure that our staff is pretty much up to date on all kinds of technology that people might bring into the libraries. So this is what we hope will be the first annual staff meeting, and it's a rare opportunity to get all of our staff in one place and deliver our message.
Thank you, Ms. Kerr. Is there anyone here that would like to comment on this resolution, recommendation? Seeing none, return to the board. Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you. I'm certainly supportive of your interest in training and exhorting and bringing along the staff. That's an admirable thing to do, so I'm very supportive of that. In addition to that, I would like to ask you to come back to us with a response to a question I have for you.
Certainly.
And that is whether or not we might be able to use our libraries. I'm going to use a term that's used for transportation hubs, but it kind of applies to what I'm suggesting that we might look at for libraries. There are transportation hubs that are called multimodal. That means that trains and buses and airplanes all go to the same place, so people only have to go to one place to get all these different services. I'm interested in, as we look at how to expand library services, if we might be able to make our libraries multimodal, and that is make them a place where for example, I'm going to take the Rathbun Library on China Grade Loop in Welldale. That could be a place where people could go get job training. ETR could be there and provide services. It could be a place where we could have community workshops about various things in the evening. It could be a place after school where, for example, every student at standard elementary and middle school, as I understand it, has an Apple device that is their device. Many of those children do not have Wi-Fi service when they go home in the evening. So our library could serve as a place after school and in the evening where they could come use those devices to continue to expand the lessons and learning that they've done during the day. So I'm interested in exploring this multimodal way to expand and improve the diversity of services that are offered at our libraries. Is that something you could explore and come back to us and talk to us about?
Absolutely, and actually this is something that we're exploring right now. We're getting some really valuable input in through the 600 or so responses we have so far to our survey, and a lot of the survey survey questions ask what kind of other services you would like. One that's been very popular so far among people who responded to the survey is passport and notary services, for example. So we are looking at different ways that we can provide one-stop shopping.
Even as we look at the possibility of having programming in our Parks and Recreation effort, a long, long time ago, the county gave up that. When I was a boy growing up in the Bakersfield area, you could go to the park after school, and there was somebody there that would help you play ping pong and caroms and volleyball or whatever else it was you were going to do. And it seems to me that that some kind of programming like that, even if it's recreational in nature, not necessarily that your staff would do it, but that someone might be able to even provide those kind of services on site. So anyway, I look forward to that. I appreciate your willingness to come back and talk to us about that. I'm certainly supportive of this, and I don't want to get ahead of anybody. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the recommendation and adopt the resolution.
Second.
When we adjourn here in a moment, could you stick around and see me for just 1 second?
Certainly will.
Thank you. You have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
Motion is approved, all ayes.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of the morning agenda. I just need a motion to adjourn to closed session.
So moved.
Without objection, we are adjourned. Thank you.